All right, everybody. Hello. Welcome, beautiful cosmic family. Ah, we are here. We have arrived. We are here
All
for
right,
the
everybody.
Ultimate Star Beings
Hello,
event.
welcome
That's
to
me.
the Cosmic
I gotta
Family.
switch that off for a second. There we go. And I'm just so excited and grateful. I woke up today early. I thought I would go back to sleep, so I can get more rest because we have a 12-hour day. And I put on different mantras to knock me out. That would always knock me out. And I just couldn't do it because I was just so excited and grateful to be able to be a conduit for what we're going to experience in the next 6 days. And well, let me just tell you guys, I'm going to give you a little overview of what we're going to be going through today, what's going to come up in the next 5 days after this. And then we're going to get into today's panel, the first panel. So as most of you know that are tuning in, that we are doing an all day of panels today. So first of all, this is unprecedented. And, that's my word, unprecedented, use it a lot, but this time I mean it because I actually put in my to-do list, my Portal to Ascension to-do list 4 years ago to do an all-day conference with just panels on extraterrestrial interdimensional awareness. And I just never got around to it, but it never left my to-do list. It was on the bottom for 4 years. And then finally, we did this event and the Ultimate Star Beings one that's coming up tomorrow that I'm going to screen share just for a moment here. And before I do that, actually, let's do this. First of all, I want to acknowledge everybody in the Zoom room and all the platforms we're on across many different social media platforms, including Laura Eisenhower's platform. Laura, hopefully she can join us. She had a snowstorm and her power went out. So she's trying her best to get on, charging her phone in her car to see if she can make it. But thank you all so much for being here. And before I actually do show you the Ultimate Star Beings event and what we're going to be doing for the panels, let's just take like a minute of just pure silence here and just breathe together. Okay. I'll just guide us into 3 deep breaths, and then we're going to just do 40 seconds or so. Cause this, like right now, as we started, there's hundreds of people, soon to be thousands of people tuning in on different platforms. So let's just all synchronize our energies for the collective intention of what we're creating here today. So let's all begin by just closing our eyes. Just breathe normally. And let's start with 3 breaths, taking a deep inhale into the heart. And exhale, expanding your auric field. Deep inhale again to the heart. Exhale and expand. One more time. And let's just all sit together in silence just for a few seconds. And before we open our eyes, just want to say a few words. Just want to set a lot of gratitude up to the cosmos for this historic occasion that we're all embarking upon, that we've been called upon to create a lighthouse, a beacon, a frequency, and send it out into the cosmos, to our galactic family, to the benevolent beings, the angelic realm, to source, that Earth humans, Earth humans, we're ready. We are ready to fully empower ourselves, to be the divine avatars that we're always meant to be, to remember our divine and truest potential, to unlock our consciousness and rejoin the galactic family. And this is just the beginning. We're at the beginning phases. We're doing Zoom events right now for all of us to connect. But this is just setting the foundation for us to be traveling interdimensionally, through our own consciousness, through devices and technology we create. But the one thing we should really remember is we are the greatest technology. That all of what we're going to experience, all of what we're going to be saying, all of the planets, all of the different experiences we've had through the cosmos are truly a reflection of the infinite universe within us. the infinite multidimensional realities that we hold within ourselves, reflecting outside into our external experience. And as we embark upon this awareness, we say to the universe, to the multiverse, that we are ready. We are ready to create harmony, peace, and unity on Earth. So it is.
And so it is. We are so grateful for the opportunity to expand our consciousness, to be with others of like mind, to see insights, have memories of that where we came from and that where we're going. So as a collective oneness, we can ascend into the higher frequencies. And so it is.
So it is. All right. So if you guys have your eyes still closed, go ahead and open them up whenever you're ready. So firstly here, I'm just going to share what's coming up, and then we're going to get into today's panel, and I'm going to introduce the amazing panelists that we have. First, tomorrow, we have the beginning of the 5-day Ultimate Star Beings Conference, and today is multiple things: building up momentum for tomorrow, doing a lot of this for, free awareness that we're not, not part of this paid event, but just putting out all these platforms for the truest intention, which is to spread this awareness, and also to warm up our vocal cords so that we're ready to go for tomorrow. So this is a multifaceted event, just so that we can really build up this energy and do something unique here. We'll have discussions. We're not going to have panels during the actual conference over the next 5 days. We're going to be having just presentations, downloads, 40 minutes, 50-minute downloads. So today is the day where we have the discussions about what we're about to experience. So this is it. The Ultimate Star Beings event starts tomorrow. Portal2ascension.org, events, online events, and then right there, 55 presenters, 10 MCs, 5 days. And some of these individuals you're going to see today. Here we go: Mary Rodwell, Adam Apollo, Lisa Royale, Elizabeth April, Carolyn Corey, Foster Gamble, Sherry Wild, Marissa Starseeded, Flo Karuna, Bridget Holliday, Magenta Pixie, Sandra Walter, Geraldine Orozco, Akura, Jenna Lato. Actually, Jenna, unfortunately, she came down with COVID, so she won't be able to make it. So we'll send her some love and energy during her time slot, really to help her move through this. We have Kathleen Colville, Nadi Hanna. So as you can see, it's just going to be amazing, really powerful 5 days. And then today we're on this, and I did not create a separate event page for this, so it's on the Zoom landing page that you can sign up for. If you're in YouTube, you can just tune in there. And so this is the first panel is Galactic Origins. Okay, 9 to 10:30. That's right now. We might go a few minutes over, and I'll introduce the panelists in a second. After that, we have Deborah Giusti coming in for the Ascension panel, because it wouldn't be a Portal to Ascension event without Deborah Giusti doing the Ascension panel. She does it pretty much at every large-scale conference we have. We have Sandra Walter in there, Pragit and Jules from the Stargate Experience, Suzanne Ross from Sedona Ascension Retreat Conference, Joan of Angels, and Lori Spagna. And then the Experiencers panel, which was with Brendan Culleton, Geraldine Orozco, Sherry Wild, Alan Steinfeld, Kathleen Martin, and that's from 1 to 3 p.m. Pacific. And then we have the UFO disclosure panel with Carolyn Corey, Melinda Leslie, Grant Cameron, and a few others. And then we're going to close off the day with what is the multiverse panel. And this is done very intentionally. If hopefully you can see it here, starting out with Origins. And the next 5 days, there is no linear UFO information. I always put a little bit of it in all my ET UFO events. We're going 100% consciousness for 5 days. So the reason why I put in the UFO disclosure one today is just to give it some, just to really focus on that just for a few moments where we can speak about it today. And then we're just going pure experiencer for the next 5 days. And then what is the multiverse? What is the universe? What's outside the universe? Are we holographic? How many multiverses are there? How fractalized are we from source? So I hand selected the people that I have experienced that have traveled the cosmos, astrally and other ways that I think might have some insight on this. So we're going to be ending it out with what is this construct that we're living in? So extremely exciting. Between these, we have some breaks. So we're going to have entertainment during the breaks. Joan's going to present. I'm going to present. We're going to have some music. So we're going to just keep going all day. And yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. So very, very excited. All right, so here we go, everybody. Let's just check the chat really quick. Everybody in the chat, go ahead and say hi if you haven't already. And please do let us know where you're from on and especially off planet, okay? If you have any type of connection to other star systems, let it be known. This is the event for it. And also, please change your settings to everyone. That's everybody here. Most of you have not changed your settings, so change your settings to everyone so that you can engage with everyone, because otherwise only we can see it. All right, let's all take a deep breath in as we begin the Galactic Origins panel. Deep breath in. Here we are. I'm going to change the view to gallery view so you can see the beautiful faces of the first panel for today. And welcome officially to the Galactic Origins panel. This is the first one for today. And what is the Galactic Origins panel? Well, I think the title says pretty much all of it. And the reason why we're starting out with this subject is to look at the antiquity of humanity that goes off planet before we even incarnated onto Earth, right? For example, there are no transitionary fossils from Homo erectus to Homo sapien. We became one species overnight, right? There's a couple of holes in Darwinism. One is that non-blossoming flowers became blossoming flowers overnight. Like flowers just started blossoming, no evolutionary change, and which is interesting because I guess we're those flowers too, right? And then also Homo erectus became Homo sapien in a very short period of time. These are anomalies that really go in alignment with what happened. Was it a creation? Was it an evolution? Or was it somewhere in between? And so what we're going to explore today is information and awareness that really connects to where we came from and who we are. And who we have on the panel is Bridget Renee Holliday. You can wave. You guys can wave as I go by you guys. We have Joan of Angels as my co-host here. We have Flo Karuna from Star Codes. And we have Marissa from Starseeded. Marissa. And all right, so let's start out like this. I think the best way to start out is we'll go around the panel and just let you guys share about who you are and your intention and your mission on Earth. And I think because your missions on Earth really are connected to Galactic Origins, so that will kind of give us the foundation for us to go deeper into some other questions here. But since Joan, you're my co-host, I want to say hi, and then you guys can all set your own intentions too in this moment. So say hi, set your intentions, introduce everybody to yourself. So Joan, go for it.
Greetings, everyone. I'm Joan of Angels. I am actually an angelic and galactic guide. I realize that. I help people remember that moment when they arrived down here on the planet, fully ready to do their mission, but yet now suddenly sound asleep. And so I see that today is just a day of awakening, really to higher levels of our potential, our possibilities, this great galactic family that we come from. And, I'm all for the fact that we are fifth dimensional and higher beings learning to navigate out of our 3D lives. So there you have it. That's a brief introduction.
Thank you, Joan. Bridget. If you're talking, you're muted.
It wasn't letting me unmute. Sorry. I was clicking. Hi. Hello, everybody. My name is Bridget Renee Holliday. I'm a Starseed channel, multidimensional medium, galactic unity ambassador. Beyond quantum healing hypnosis is one of the ways that I serve in the world. And I'm a Starseed mentor. And I'm here really for the same reason as a lot of us, to really elevate and expand the collective consciousness and assist all of us to remember who we are and what we're here to do, remembering those beautiful specializations and masteries and geniuses that we all come into the Earth Collective with, and really anchoring them into this human experience so that we can uplift not only ourselves, but everyone. And my intention for this panel and this conference is really just to be a clear channel of the codes, keys, and frequencies that I hold, so that they can be utilized by whomever are resonant with them as activations and permission slips that we give ourselves to awaken within this conference and the lives that we're living, right? So Neil, I'm so excited to be here, and I'm so excited to be with all of you guys, and thank you for being here with us.
Thank you so much, Bridget. Marissa.
Hello, everyone. I am Marissa. I do many things, but mostly I create safe spaces, retreats, online containers, and in-person containers to really develop a portal for remembrance, to look into the eyes of our fellow brothers and sisters and remember our true source essence. I also am a Starseed mentor. I work with in the quantum realm, guiding a soul, guiding the consciousness into remembering their galactic blueprint, where they came from, why they're here. And lastly, which is like my most passionate aspect of my work, is grid work. So I've been working with sacred sites and just learning from the ancestors, learning how to sit in ceremony with the invisible realm, how to invoke and work with our ancestors, both earthly and galactic, in creating this quantum shift. Right now, I'm in Sedona, Arizona, which I'm so grateful to be. And in the long-term future, I will be hosting meditations within like our cities to really create impact in the heart of the grid, to get all of the people, whether they're in tune with this higher dimensional way of being and this higher dimensional thought, just getting everyone into that unity consciousness of meditating. So grid work, Starseed mentor, just here for the human experience as well.
Thank you so much, Marissa.
Yep.
Brother Flo.
Aloha, beloved family, and honored to be here in these councils and Ultimate Star Beings Conference. I'm excited as a human. And for those that don't know me, I work with Star Coach, which is an organization. I climbed the top of a mountain and I was given a vision from Spirit to create a starseed community and to get us together to formulate the new culture on this planet. And that's what I'm personally passionate about, creating an enlightened culture where the codes of awakening and ascension are built into the foundation of the earthly experience. And I do a lot. We do starseed activations on star codes, and we're kind of transitioning into creating a starseed school and temple. So a lot of grounding projects right now. And my intention through this conference is to be in service to all the people listening, and to share whatever messages are coming from the cosmos, from the star family, to send those codes to your heart space so you can remember, and we can all awaken and have a big party on planet Earth, because we're here to have fun. So let's enjoy this Earth School and let's have some fun today and throughout the conference. Thank you.
Beautiful, brother. Thank you so much. All right. So the flow for the panel today and the questions, Joan, you're my co-host. So if you have any questions, please just jump in. I think I'm just going to ask the first one. Okay. Message me directly if you have something that you want to ask. And let's do this. So, from my understanding, galactic origins, when I first heard of the fact that we could have been from off planet, it was the Sumerian story, the Anunnaki story. And then pretty soon I got into the understanding of the Prism of Lyra, the book of the Prism of Lyra, and how humans could have been seeded from the constellation of Lyra, and that we fragmented out into the rest of the cosmos, incarnating into other dimensions, into other places. So and then as I started teaching this awareness, I realized there was a lot of other stories that I hadn't factored into it, and other people have different perspectives. In such a multidimensional reality, what really is the truth? Is there just one truth in regards to our specific origin story? So I want to start with that, just right there. If we could start with, and we'll go back around. Just like we'll start with you, Flo, and go the other way around. And what is your perspective of the seeding of humanity? Was there initial seeding? And then maybe this is a separate question, but how does that even represent itself in the fact that time doesn't even exist? And we were obviously, if there's a seeding, we linearly came to this moment from that moment, but time doesn't even exist within that construct. So how do we kind of like quantify those two truths of us being seeded, right? I'll just be concise to the question. Us being seeded, did it start in Lyra? Was there one race? And what is time within that? So, Flo, do you want to start, bro?
Yeah, what a deep dive to begin this council today. So, I mean, the story of consciousness, the story of us coming to planet Earth is riddled in mystery. But there's some pieces that we're collecting through our channels, through reading the scrolls on planet Earth, where we're starting to get some clarity. And from my personal intel and connecting with the star family, no matter what's been happening in the Milky Way galaxy, everything always goes back to Andromeda. Andromeda predates our Milky Way galaxy existence. And a lot of my connection to the Lyrans and the dragons, which are perhaps the most ancient beings in our universe, is they come through Andromeda via the great central sun. So this is just exploring the general fabric of consciousness, where this great central sun is almost like an interior exterior reflection. So as the universe is within ourselves, it's also playing out around us. And how I correlate what the great central sun is almost like the egg of the feminine. The egg of the feminine is this great portal, this great light where creation is being spread out. And through this creation egg, the dragons came out, which are kind of like how they would describe it. I know it sounds silly. They're kind of like the sperm cell. They look like sperms, and they're embodying the creation energy. So the more I tap into the star family and the story of our universe, I begin to realize we as humans, whatever time means, we are very young. It just seems to be keep going back and back. And in regards to our personal human story and how we were seeded in humanoid form on planet Earth, everything traces back to Sirius. When I connect with the councils of Sirius, so Sirius is like the meeting station, the grand central station of our Milky Way galaxy. It's centrally located, and from what I hear and experience, there is a portal to Andromeda. So all the beings that come from Andromeda cross through Sirius and enter our Milky Way galaxy. And talking with these councils that are situated on Sirius, they wanted to seed Pachamama, planet Earth, with a species that had all the universal DNA strands of all the various species. And for us to be an almost representation on planet Earth of all the species in our galaxies. So this is why there's so much diversity on this Earth plane. It's like you could be talking to a Lyran, you could be talking to Palladian, you could be talking to a person with dragon consciousness, you could be talking to a person with a planet that we don't even know of. And we're like in this Akashic sort of experiment right now, where when we are having conversations, when we're interacting with our fellow humankind, we're exchanging information and we're setting the foundation for universal peace. So this is why our Earth life is so important, and why we might have relationships might bring up stuff, bring up emotions, because we're learning to coexist in this Earth school. And it's just a gift to be on this planet, and these relationships we encounter are giving us the information to our universal story. So I hope I answered that in a little way, but that's just my personal experience on our seeding.
Yeah, you definitely did. And before we go to Marissa, you said something, I'd never heard of the connection to Andromeda on that level before, but I just want to ask you this question. What is the central sun? Is that the Milky Way galaxy, the black hole in the center of our galaxy, or are you talking about another central sun that our galaxy rotates around?
Yes. So when I get visions, I get like a vision of many universes. So once again, micro, macro, it's just constantly. So as our sun, Ra, and planets rotate around it, the grand central sun is the sun of consciousness, where all the universes gravitate around it. So Milky Way, Andromeda, and thousands, millions of others are rotating around the grand central sun. And this to me is one of the origin places of our dimensional universe.
Beautiful. Thank you, brother. Marissa, what's your perspective? And also tie in Andromeda. Do you have any information from the Andromeda galaxy?
Beautiful. I love the way you expressed your truth flow. And for me, like, especially while you were speaking, I totally felt the resonance. And I immediately think of like the Hopi prophecy, the prophecy of the Rainbow Warriors. I think this is the heart of collective ascension on Earth, is to see past these human suits, these veils, and see into the different codes and the different lineages that we all hold. And that's what's so beautiful about Earth, is we all hold, we're so multidimensional. I think a lot of times in the Starseed community, we're like, you know, we cling to identity of being from specific star systems, where that's only scraping the surface of our DNA. We have so much to bring. So this idea of the rainbow prophecy, of coming into unity through honoring diversity, through seeing the unique codes that we all share from the unique star systems that we have seeded from. And while you were speaking, Flo, I like very much work with visuals, and you know, the way I would love to like weave my perspective in as far as creation and where we come from is like purely from, you know, just a visual standpoint, and then you can invoke and put your own meaning towards it. But I always have this visual of just source consciousness, of this white light, right? And then as this white light of source emanates throughout the cosmos, fractals of light stream out of source. And as these fractals of light stream out of source through fusion and fission and interaction and co-creation, it starts developing consciousness from the different stars, from the different beings. And then I think it goes into a more of a star consciousness, of a collective consciousness, where these fractals fall into place. So that's kind of how I look at like origin, because I truly believe that we can't fully comprehend these identities and these labels that we put to these pockets of consciousness, because it's so multidimensional. But as far as Andromedan, I love, for me, when I tap into Andromedan energy, it always comes through in the forms of music, in toning, in light language, in almost a elevated way of communicating that has transcended like English or earthly language. So because it is our outside of our home galaxy, it does have this otherworldly energy to it. So I love the concept also that there is a portal within Sirius to Andromeda. And it's really interesting to think about our main sources and our main stars as gateways, as like Orion, Sirius, these main stars that immediately grab our attention as young starseeds, because we know we have traveled through them. We know maybe we're from them, but we've traveled through them to get here. So I think those portals and tapping into those main constellations can offer a lot of perspective for the conduit, for the human to remember. And to remember wherever they came from, the gifts, the consciousness that they hold. Yeah, so that's a little bit about what I perceive. I think it's so important to stay in a state of receptivity when either downloading this information or receiving this information, because it is so cosmic. And everyone should be inspired to take this information, to take their ability to tune into cosmic consciousness and translate it in their own way, through their own processes, through their own DNA, and through their own knowing.
Right. It's like we're here to have unique experiences of consciousness of source. So it would probably be a benefit to all have a different type of perspective on our history and our origins,
Right.
right? You know, the macro and the micro right here, this is what came to me when you were speaking. So I'm like huge into Earth history. And then that eventually took me off planet. When I was looking for the root of religion, I kept going back. And now I'm in the cosmos. And then I started realizing when I was trying to figure out the root of all religion, that's why Portal to Ascension began. That was what I wanted to find out. And as I was looking for that, I realized there's so much that happened. One tribe might have gone south instead of north, and I may have not have known. And now everything that I'm teaching could be completely off because I missed that one component. Too much happened. So you said you can't comprehend with identity and labels because so much has happened multidimensionally that it's really not easy for us, especially at this state of consciousness, for us to have that awareness. So I really appreciated when you said that. And then I just want to ask this follow-up question here. You said that we travel through these portals. So is that a soul travel? Like, did our soul etheric body travel through it? Is the soul only a construct of this matrix on Earth and that's our spirit? Or do we physically travel as an incarnated being into another reality and then have an experience there? Do you have any awareness on that?
My God.
We're gonna do it today, guys.
I love it. Let's go all the way to the esoteric, all the way to the cosmic. I think you're asking two questions there, right? Like, is the soul a construct that really only resonates within earthly construct, right?
Yes.
Is the soul a singular entity tied to a consciousness that we're in? I think yes and no. I think like the soul will, and the spirit and the oversoul, the higher consciousness will slip into form, into a stream of consciousness to have an experience. But when you have that experience, it's like a soul drops into an experience to deliver that information back to source. Like it's almost like just a way to develop, to learn, and to bring back to source, to bring back to the wholeness of all of consciousness. But I do also believe that as an incarnated starseed and soul, we do travel through these portals and gateways as forms of initiation into coming to Earth. So whether you're say you're an Andromedan starseed, and to integrate into earthly consciousness, you have to travel through a stargate. You have to orient yourself to the atmosphere of this galaxy, to the consciousness of this galaxy. And I think you have to go through the soul as this like linear progression, have to go through these initiatory rites through dimensions to be able to hold physical form, or to be able to drop into physical form. I hope that answered.
Yeah, it does. It definitely does. And this ties into what Flo said, and about the whole the sperm of creation flow, right? So this connects to so basically that portal, even if it's a Stargate, like the show Stargate, it's literally a womb birthing us into this other experience, and then we're the baby coming out. And I feel like creation has this masculine, feminine birth and creation thing going on. Whereas, for example, a black hole is like the yoni, and the white hole is the sperm coming out to create even more energy, right? And even Kali Ma and Shiva, they represent, the lingam is Shiva. Shiva represents not destruction, but recycling of creation, right? So just want to throw that out there, how it all connects, that it is this kind of rebirth, this birthing experience that we keep having into these other dimensions. So thank you, Marissa.
Thank you.
Bridget, what are you feeling?
So excited. I've been jumping up and down. I think when Flo described the great central sun as the sun between universes, I have not heard very many other people have that perception, and I do, right? So I was feeling so excited. Really, okay, so I just want to spin it back just a little bit and get into the galactic origins. So my experience in remembrance is of being all consciousness that had individuation, but not like what we think of in the human experience. And we are multi-universal. So with us, we had created a universe experience and gone through the entire experience, and we were creating a new one. And when I say us, I mean probably almost all of us, right, that are here, and so many more. And we created an even more individuation as the universe was created. And think of it as like the universe shell, like the space within source that the universe was going to be created, almost like the assigned place. And this is very linear, and it's not a very linear experience that I'm describing, but I'll try to get it out in a way that is easily understandable. So we began creating, and others as well, began creating what we would call a baby solar system. And there were a few planets and a sun, and we were adjusting the energetics and the frequency from in our expanded creator consciousness. And then we would create some sort of form within it, because we do additional adjustments and energetic creation blueprinting kind of things from within as well. And we did not keep that form. We would pop back out and pop back in. So that form would just be created, and we would shift it slightly. We had an overall idea of what we wanted for this particular planet that we were creating for, and the expression within it. And then when it came time to be able to support the life that we were creating for, some of us individuated and had our soul's birth from our own consciousness, right? So that's where we get into like the architects of creation and things like that, right? So consider, the expanded consciousness, creator consciousness, as like sub-architects of creation. And that would be like the fourth step down of source, the fourth expression of source, right? So through this, we created this world, we lived in this particular world, and then we moved out throughout all of the galaxy that was being created. This was Andromeda Galaxy, right? And there were many different forms of life within Andromeda Galaxy, within all of the dimensional expressions, but also within a physicality expression as well. Many different forms, many different what we would consider species. And then as the rest of the universe, like different galaxies were being created, we began to move through them as well, both within the knowingness of our creator consciousness that is so expanded beyond an individual, like an individuated like human life, right? But also within, right? So with all of that, Lyra is a big part of that. There are humanoids in Andromeda Galaxy. There are also beings that are beyond our wildest imaginations, the way they look, how they express. And one of the main expressions within Andromeda Galaxy is harmony. It is a very like peaceful, centered, balanced, harmonized expression. So those of us that hold frequencies and have expressions in Andromeda Galaxy, regardless of the dimensional expression it is, whether it's a dense form or not, we hold a lot of those unity, consciousness, harmony, harmonizing frequencies within our expression. And coming into Lyra is a whole different story. And I think there's so many people that have really put work out there and information about the Lyran connection. But I from my memory, the Lyrans were also from another universal expression that had been completed as well, and they were invited in as well, right? So many of us in our other forms are not just from here. We have been playing at this. I mean, we're infinite, right? So we've been playing at this for a very long time, probably longer than we can even imagine. And then we bring into the human earth experience, what I think is so unique about this experience in the way that we do it is we have this ultimate free will, but also within that, we have this amazing extreme of density, right? Not density, I'm sorry. We've got polarization, and you guys help me with the word.
But frequency experience, range of frequency we get to experience?
Polarization, and it's the contrast.
Duality?
Yes, thank you. That word was just missing. Yeah, so we have this amazing extreme. Thank you, Neil. It's like playing Scrabble or something. I don't know.
You're so non-dualistic, you didn't even remember the name.
Thank you. So we have this amazing extreme of duality within the expression that we've had for so long. And we're here playing out a lot of things that have been going on in our lives beyond the human earth collective. So we are so ingenuitive in the way that we come at things, and we come at things with this almost extreme freedom that we have solutions to situations and experiences we have in these other races and species, right? So there's so many layers to what we're doing here. But yeah, I just get really excited. And the Great Central Sun. Oh, so you guys, when you do your meditation with the Great Central Sun, really experience it as like the heart of source in between the universes, not just the galaxies, right?
Wow. Yeah, I'm learning a lot here. More like the whole Andromeda component, I never even really factored in. I mean, I knew that we had a connection to Andromeda, and the Great Central Sun, I always believed was the black hole in the center of our galaxy, which could have been represented in some cultures, but I like how it was like, it's the sun, the central sun, and the Great Central Sun. I feel like those are good titles right there, and the center of that right there. So I want to, when we go around again, I want to go into Lyra specifically now. And I want to tell you the story that I heard about the Prism of Lyra, and then have you guys say do you resonate with that? Or are there holes within that story? So we're going to get into that in a moment. But first, Joan, do you have, what's your feelings of everything that you've been hearing here?
Well, first of all, it's like we're a soup, chicken soup of the soul. We're like this vegetarian soup of all of this mixture. And I'm thinking, wow, how does that impact us here today? And how has that caused all these diverse structures here on the planet? Because if we come from all these different places, we are a true melting pot. But I will also say, I was my entry into UFOs was through the Anunnaki. And so I still have a very, very strong connection to the Anunnaki, to Enki and Enlil, and this genetic, like the evidence of this genetic seeding that we've had. And I kind of relate very strongly to those stories as well, and then their impact on our religion down here, and the way we deal with patriarchy and authority. So it's kind of interesting. I want to know more of the impact of these galactic origins on us today, even.
Ooh, yes, that's a good one. So we'll get into a question on the Anunnaki and that impact as well. Then I'll put that question down. So let's start again from Flo. And instead of myself saying the name of the individual afterwards, we'll just do it in this way, that Flo, when you're done, you feel complete. Marissa, you can go ahead. And then Bridget, you can go ahead. And then Joan, you give your perspective on what we heard. How about that, right? All right, so Flo, okay, so the question is, so The Prism of Lyra, book written by Lisa Royale. Lisa Royale, by the way, is presenting in 2 days, portaltoascension.org, upcoming events, Ultimate Star Beings. So you're going to get to experience her. When I read her book and then I reached out to her because it really shifted my perspective on reality, especially how it tied into the Bible story of the snake and being the Syrians and the God being the Lyrans. It was mind blowing for me. But in this story, it basically says that there was a founder race that wasn't personified. It was pure energy living inside the center of our galaxy in the void. And now I'm just going to draw some connections here, what's been said as I say this story. Bridget was saying that, a completed race or completed soul mission race basically incarnated into Lyra. So this connects to this story of this founder race maybe utilize some sort of wormhole technology or travel through another black hole in order to get into our void black hole space because it came from somewhere. And it wanted to experience itself, the original blueprint of source. What if could I be this? Let me experience myself infinitely. So as it wanted to experience itself, it decided to incarnate into physicality, into Lyra. Over millennia and millennia, it fragmented into 3 different planets that were inhabited on this plane. And then eventually different tribes over different periods of evolution of technology went out and fractalized into the rest of the cosmos, incarnating and creating beings in other dimensions, and then incarnating themselves, a lot of the times consciously and intentionally, to have that experience so that they could have another experience than what they've come from. And a lot of these realities that they did come from ended up becoming disharmonic. So they were trying to find a way to create harmony for themselves. So that's really a simplification of the story there. So I want to start with you, Flo, and what do you feel about that story, and what else can you add to that from your experience?
Great, thank you for the question. first off, when I hear this theory, it definitely has a form of resonance with me. And I'm not an expert on the story of Lyra. I am connected with the teachings of the Lyrans, but just in this moment, feeling the alive field, there is great resonance in this, that consciousness has an element of exploration. And I foresee that these energies that came through from wherever they came through settled in Lyra as the first destination in our Milky Way galaxy. Constantly, the message is the Lyrans were like the pioneers of this experience on this dimensional plane, because every universe has a different dimensional hertz frequency. And it makes a lot of sense that the Lyrans would be the first people to be on this planet. When I connect with, I connect with multiple races in our Milky Way galaxy, it always comes back down to Lyra before Andromeda. And when I feel this question, I feel like they were explorers and they just entered into the Lyra plane with a new sort of consciousness and learned and passed on. I'm not really sure how consciousness works. Like when these and this would be a question I would want to ask too. I know there's a lot of questions, but when this consciousness from portals enters into different realities and constructs a species, does the presence of the species naturally construct other species around it? From my information, yes. I do a lot of sessions, and a lot of people ask me questions like, what is God and what is creation? And I love it when they ask me these questions, because it's like taking me to extremely profound information. And when someone asked me the question, what is God? The answer that came out is, God is a frequency that passes on God, and then God passes on God, and then God passes on God, and then God passes on God. So this is like a flow of constant creation, and it resonates to me that this frequency of God came into the Lyra plane, entered these beings, which could possibly the felines, possibly. There are many species in Lyra, they're humanoids, and I work with the felines, both of them. And then this energy constructed this reality around us. So I feel personally that Lyra is one of the ancient beginning grounds to our experience. And yeah, I have a lot of resonance with this.
Thank you, brother. Yeah, it's kind of like God's passing the baton, right? And then every single being just wants to continue to create after that.
Never ending.
Yeah. Thank you, brother.
You're welcome.
So potent, brother. Lyra, the Lyrans. Immediately when I think of the Lyran consciousness, I am just transported into the heart space. And I love how you wove in as like the Lyrans are the explorers of our galaxy. And I think from our perspective, they've had such an impact on our creation story, on our co-creative story, because they were so in tune with leading with the heart, that wherever they led, wherever they stepped, they left such an impact because each step was led with love. And I think because they hold so much of that heart consciousness, it was easier for our ancestors to tap into the Lyran consciousness, the Lyran codes, the Lyran, just conversing with the Lyrans, because when you tune into the heart, you open up yourself to perceive and to communicate and to channel. And I think that's why, the Lyran beings hold such reverence in ancient Egypt. The lion gods were some of, Lyrans and avians, and but really Lyran lion beings in ancient Egypt are a pillar in their consciousness, in their history, in their ideology. And it's because I think the Lyran consciousness holds that fierce, unconditional love, that protective energy to which is very necessary if you're going to be an explorer, to lead with love, but also to protect the sacred. And I think that's very much encoded in the Lyran consciousness is that exploring, but also protection. And I think because the Lyran consciousness hold those two pillars, it feels like a consciousness that is safer for the humans to tap into. And I think that's why they hold such gravity in our consciousness, in our exploration, because they feel safe. Or for me, they feel safe. I resonate with the Lyran, and they hold that dragon energy too of, honoring and protecting the sacred. And but the key component to the Lyran consciousness for me that differentiates them from tapping into different races and different star systems is that heart consciousness, for it's just so profound. It's like their heartbeat is their footstep. That's all I'll say.
Thank you. And so would you say that safety could kind of connect to them being the antiquity of our human experience in this galaxy? It's almost like our ancestors, our great parents, right?
Absolutely. They hold that home frequency, that home frequency that's easy for the consciousness to go back to.
Thank you. Let's just take a moment here real quick before we go to Bridget, and let's just all just take a deep breath in, but just wait a second here. Let's just breathe normally so we can get everybody else who's watching to really take a moment to breathe as well. And on the next exhale, take a deep breath in through the nose. All right, Bridget.
Marissa, Flo, wow, Neil. Oh my gosh, you guys, I'm so excited to be here today. And all of the information is just so delicious. And I wholeheartedly agree about the Lyrans feeling like home. I think, we often think of ourselves as, this is our human experience and these are the connections that we have, but I want to help us expand into our soul. Just think of our oversoul as like a blanket, right? And then we have a column that comes down. And from that column are all of these different white strands that go into all different expressions. It's not only in this universe or the galaxies like Andromeda Galaxy and Milky Way that we're expressing. It is in multi-universes, multi, right? We are infinite creator beings, right? Infinitely creating, infinitely expressing. And just as I spoke about the Andromeda, you can pretty much apply everything to the Lyran, right? It's a very similar creation style that I experience with them. And, coming in as their expanded consciousness without a dense form, choosing particular life forms that had already been created and adjusting them to be able to hold their frequency, some form that was as similar as they could get in a genetic aspect to their resonance in their previous universal, completed universal expression. And they came in that way. So this is where, it doesn't matter who came first, right? We're all expressing. You have an aspect of you, I'm not going to say every single person does, but odds are you have an aspect of you that comes from Andromeda, and the expression that is still, because time and space is not linear, experiencing itself in previous universal experience. The same with the Lyrans, right? So I don't know, you might think my hands are disappearing, but you can come, from it in that way. And all of the different expressions that we made along the way. Right. So all of the different incarnations that we've had, but also, thinking of it in the multidimensional aspect as well, where we're expressing without form. We might not even be a being as what we would consider. So a non-being, being, light, consciousness, things like that, down all the way into the human expression. And we are connected to all of it, all of that consciousness, all of that knowledge, all of that wisdom, all of that, all of those codes, keys, and frequencies. So what we have here in our human expression, and it's funny, I need to quit talking because some of this is part of my what I'm going to be talking about on Sunday. But I'm so passionate about it, but it's all here, right? So we have access to every bit of it when we open and remember. And Lyra, the first time I connected with feline Lyrans was in a Beyond Quantum Healing hypnosis session that I received, the very first one that I ever received. And she's a parallel aspect of my soul. And we are essentially parallel lives, right? That are living simultaneously. We have direct connection. I can reach into her and she can reach into me. We communicate via consciousness. And whenever I am feeling like a little bit of insecurity, or if I'm having one of those moments where I'm not feeling as confident, I call to her. And that frequency that she is, that heart-led frequency, as Marissa so beautifully was expressing, is what she'll really bring, like almost like enhance those frequencies within me, right? So I already hold them. We all already hold these frequencies. And it's almost like she rings the bell of them, or if it was like a harp, she strums that particular chord. Yeah. So she'll do that within me, and then it expands out. So I feel like with Lyra, they are, do we use the word progenitors? They're part of the creators of the Human Earth Collective. So we have a lot of commonality, and I feel like we have a lot of magnetism to those beings who are part of this co-creation that we're in right now, and the aspects of us that were part of this co-creation that we're in right now. And I don't know if I even answered your question, Neil, but I got really excited.
No, you definitely did. Because as I was talking and as Flo came on and said, Joan, I'll give you a second, just want to say this. When Flo said that, he gets more messages rather than the story of it all. And then I started realizing so it's really up to us on what we want to experience, express here, because, we might be talking about some like historic things about what happened with our galactic origins and all that. But truly within that story is the message of humanity and why we're here in the first place. So yeah, wherever you want to go with it, like just whatever you feel with it. So perfect. Thank you so much for that. And one thing that you said, I just want to kind of emphasize was something very interesting of how we have an oversoul, and that all these lights are different expressions of that oversoul. So I want to just ask you this quick question: do we have a collective oversoul of humanity, or do we have, or both? Do we have an individualized oversoul that expresses ourselves multidimensionally, or is that one oversoul the oversoul of all of people on Earth?
So yes. yes, and yes. So the way I see it is we have the oversoul. We're going really expanded out, right? We're talking about the aspect of consciousness that is not really individuated yet, that is us as source, right? And a slight individuation, but it's super slight compared to the source totality, right? The all totality. And then we begin to express, and the way I see it is in streams, right? So like light columns, you can imagine. And we, yes. So yes, we have the aspect of that is focused on our human expression, but we also have the aspect of that is focused on our multi-universal expression. And it's not as linear to me as, there's one for humans, there's one for our galactics, there's one, to me, it's all of them simultaneously. And within our soul groups, that's where I feel like it gets really interesting, right? So when we have the soul groups that then refract our light, right? That are like prisms, so to speak, within that, even that is to me, expressing in all of the different expressions that we have within this universe. So I see it more as universal and multi-universal. Does that make sense? And the high self to me isn't just like a parallel aspect of soul, right? It's not like my Pleiadian, the Pleiadian that I am, that is existing right now. It is much higher than that, and it oversees all of our universal expressions. So when I think of the high self, to me, it is this aspect of us that is just really all knowing about what we're doing within this universal expression, but also all of the others.
Right.
So it just expands to me. Does that answer your question, Neil?
Yeah, it does. And it's not, we're trying to understand the ununderstandable.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, it makes sense. Plus, like, anytime somebody says a paradox, I'm just like, all right, it must be true. So it's like we're this and that, right? So Joan is you guys have met Joan before, everybody tuning in probably, that she is a soul mission activator, and she helps starseeds really tune into what they're here to do on this planet. And that's just kind of like 2% of what she does. So I'm just telling you one aspect of it. So Joan, hearing all of this, and even the oversoul thing, and how does this tie into your mission of activating people's consciousnesses, the oversoul, but just in general, what are you feeling? What kind of downloads are you receiving as you hear everything here?
Wow. Well, first of all, some of you are shape-shifting for me. So on a personal perspective, I'm watching Flo and Bridget kind of shape-shifting, Marissa sort of getting these wings on, and who knows where you are, Neil. So I'm really tuning into the other aspects of ourselves that are receiving this information. I have met several Lyrans. I didn't know they were Lyrans, but I would start painting them and I'd go, gosh, this looks like a cat. And those beings that I've worked with that way are some of the most creative and loving. It's like, who here has seen the series of Narnia? The adventures that the kids have in Narnia, and we have the lion, the great old lion from the beginning of time, who's here to save humanity, and that was his mission. And I kind of feel, as we're talking, we're in these dangerous times here on the earth. We're in transition. And the Lyrans are coming to me, and I just feel him. I forget his name. What was his name, Neil?
Aslan.
What was it?
Aslan.
Yes, Aslan. It's almost like I feel like some of us are embracing that higher consciousness here to help humanity in that Lyran aspect, not just the Lyrans in the Andromedas and the Pleiadians, and we have these oversouls, and we even look like them now. We even begin to act like them. And this is the most beautiful thing, that how do we integrate this today? Because, I don't know exactly the past history in that sense, but I know I'm here today in the physical, but connected to all of you beings in this other realm. So to me, the Lyrans present a hope of humanity now. They're still with us. They're still doing that great awakening that we are experiencing here. And I can even see Atlan kind of behind us. So, in fact, I put a slide in my presentation for today that I didn't even realize it, but had the giant lion that has Atlan right behind it. So I think we need to embrace these all aspects of ourselves. We are so multidimensional. I also relate to the Pleiadians, and I relate to the Arcturians, and I relate to the tall whites. I get told all the time I have a tall white behind me, and it's like, what? A tall white, huh? So I think we are just a mixture. We are our own hybrids.
Thank you, Joan. Yes, we are a mixture, and we're embracing. That's what it's all about. Embracing all the multidimensionality. I shared with you the other day something Bashar said some years ago, when someone was like, I feel like I have multiple personality disorder. And he goes, you're a multidimensional being. It's multiple personality order.
Wow.
There is no
Okay.
disorder. We're embracing it all.
That.
Multi-personality order, because we're finding out that it's not random, and that we're all kind of carefully cultivated and crafted to be this blend that we are today, because those are the best of the best aspects of ourselves. So when I help people remember who they are, it's to embrace all the qualities that we brought in. I'm not so much about naming what I am. I'm just a bunch of qualities that make up aspects of myself more today than yesterday. So what aspects are we developing that come from this?
Yeah, it's so interesting, the whole label thing, like just not label and identifying things in order for us to be open to the infinite experience that things are. However, our human minds need to label and identify things, right? And a great example would be Christianity and Buddhism, that both started and flourished within the Kali Yuga, which is an age of hierarchy and an age in which we label. So they came down, and both of them were documented saying, do not create a religion out of me. Buddha more than Jesus, because Buddha, we have like historical records. This guy existed. There's no doubt. But in order to basically identify with that being, humanity created a label around information that was labelless, So it's on one hand, we identify and label things, and that gives us more of, a direction in life. But then on the other hand, we need to also embody that it's so much more than that, just one identification. Like I used to think I was Arcturian, and now I think I'm everything. It's like kind of breaking through that construct. So go ahead.
We're more powerful as everything.
Right.
When we embrace every aspect. And what are we going to do? Have a war here? Like Flo says, I'm Lyran, and I'm going, well, I'm a tall white, so what are you doing here? Like we can bring the same division down to the planet. And it's not about that.
Right.
The universal peace starts within us, because we're connected to everything. We're connected to all four corners on planet Earth. We have the genetics of every being who's walked on this planet, every animal, and we're uniting in our heart space. And this is the potency of us as beings. The journey starts within. Every awakened soul has repeated consistently, the journey starts within, and that hasn't changed. And it's probably never going to change.
I love uniting in a heart space. I love that so much.
And we have the collective memories of all of them. Like we actually have the collective memories of every soul that existed on this planet. And our frequency is connected to every soul. I think we're all connected that way.
Oh, that's 100%. That's so beautifully said. I mean, just to go scientific for a second, non-locality has proven the fact that all information, all data exists in one point infinitely. Quantum computing, why is it going 1,000 years faster than regular computing? Well, they're able to pull information out of the quantum field, getting awareness instantaneously. But if you look up how quantum computing works, we just know the effect of it. We don't even know how it's actually happening, but we're able to utilize it. So all data is everywhere, let alone our DNA, right? Which taps into like the whole data of the Akashic records, humanity, So Marissa and Bridget, I want to get your perspective based on just what's been shared right now. Let's go with Marissa first. I see you nodding your head, so go for it.
Oh, I don't even know where to go with this. But yes, I think the more we allow ourselves to fully let go of constructs, fully let go of ideologies, of identities, it's like the unfurling of the cosmic rose, where it's not just a rose in this moment, it's constantly blooming, constantly allowing its sweet aroma to just co-create with the world around us. And I think that the less we find structure, the more we'll find liberation in all aspects of the self. And I think that is the paradox. It's like the human needs the identity to be like, I'm Syrian, these are my traits, like I'm in my power. And it's like that beautiful dance of duality of identity, and then like allowing the tower and allowing the ego to fall to find itself again. And through that emergent experience, which is the nature of the cosmos, you find more aspects of the self. You liberate more aspects of your multidimensionality, your ability to tune into the subtle realms, the ability to tune into different aspects and incarnations of the self. So the paradox of identity is something that I think is a collective shadow and collective story that on Earth we are transcending. And I think it's been the root of a lot of conflict here. And I think that's why always checking the self and being like, I've been tied to this identity for a while. I've been tied to this almost dogmatic way of being, which is not like always going back and asking the self, is this construct, is this idea liberating myself or confining myself? And I think that's such an important part of the human experience as we remember more of our cosmic divinity, of our cosmic self. Yes.
Thank you. Beautiful. Yeah, looking at if it's liberating or confining. Thank you so much. Bridget.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like Marissa just said all the things that I would say, and I love this so much. What were we talking about right before Marissa brought that in? We were talking about our multi-universal nature. We were talking about
What were we talking about, Joan? Joan was expressing, yeah, we started with the oversoul thing, the different fragmentations. And Joan, do you want to kind of like talk about what you were saying really quick? I'm just so in the moment, I completely forgot
That
myself.
was in the past, love. We're in the moment of the now.
How about this, Bridget? You say whatever you want.
I'll run with it. I'll run with it. Yeah, I feel like I just want to bring it back around to origin stories again for a moment, just a moment, and remind everyone that, in comics, let's just look at comic books or graphic novels as a good example. Like there's always a person, the human, that has this, origin story that becomes something more, right? And I think that if we're coming from that perspective, we're limiting ourselves, right? Not that comics and graphic novels aren't amazing, because I love them, but if we're looking at our own makeup and who we are so much. We're more than we can comprehend right now, right? And the higher we embody within our multidimensional expression, the more of that remembrance comes online for us. So when it comes to our galactic origin story, I feel like we're multi-galactic, multi-universal. And when we can expand our consciousness to be able to hold these concepts, so because some people, I can feel people like stretching right now, but I can also feel people that are there. It's okay to stretch. It's okay to have those moments of cognitive dissonance when you're listening to all of this, and you've got 5 more days of this, you guys. It's going to be amazing. But also remember that what we think we are, if we put ourselves into boxes, then we're limiting our ability to experience and express within the human experience as well. And that's exactly what Marissa was saying, I think, a minute ago. She was kind of explaining how not to do it, or how to do something other than, because it's not bad if you're doing that. There's no right or wrong way to do this, right? It's just what feels the most resonant, what really uplifts you, what makes your soul sing. That's where you express from, right? And I think when it comes to our galactic origins, knowing those allows us to anchor it in, right? So it allows us to bring in that knowledge and wisdom and bring it into the now, into where we are now and how we're uplifting ourselves, but also everyone around us. And I think that's what I'll say, Neil.
Thank you so much. And, so we have around 15 minutes left, but we're going to go a little over. So we'll do 30 minutes just so, because everything you say makes me have more questions, so we got to go deeper into it. So I'm going to do a questions to specific panelists here so that we can really cover some. And let's see where we're going to start. All right. I think we'll start with you, Bridget, because you just said something that sparked this question. Why is it important for our earthly experience to be talking about our galactic one? And I'll just say this, that people have I see this every now and then, on different posts on things I share, like we can't even handle everything on Earth. Why are you in space, right? And then I look, I troll Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk sometimes. And when I look at their Twitter feed, people say the same thing to them, like, stop concentrating on space. You should be putting your money on Earth. Obviously, that's completely different because they're not doing the conscious work, or maybe they are, that we are doing here. So what would you say to that thing? We have too many problems on Earth. We haven't even explored our oceans yet. Why are we going out to space? Why is it important?
Oh, I love this question. So really, honestly, the more we know who we are within our entire expression, the more we bring in that multidimensional knowledge, the codes, keys, frequencies, the geniuses, the masteries, the specializations, the more we anchor it in and express from there, the more we live within harmony with one another, with our planet, with the entire Earth Collective, right? So we can think of this as a human Earth Collective, but really it's an Earth Collective. We have all of the co-inhabitants that most people don't even, view as sentient, right? We've got all of ourselves. We're so individuated sometimes that we're not even connected to ourselves, much less one another, right? But when we begin to activate those multidimensional frequencies within our own blueprint that we all have within our own genome, our own, genetic code, when we begin to expand and activate all of that, then our presence within this existence, within this very 3D, 4D, 5D, depending on who you are and where you are in your expression, our presence within this begins to harmonize and balance. We, just by existing, are harmonizing and balancing. We make choices in our everyday reality, in our everyday life, that are based on unity, that are based on love, that are based on not only uplifting ourselves, but uplifting everyone around us. These frequencies, when we turn them on within ourselves and begin living in them, then we are truly becoming more of who we are. And in that more of who we are, we have the remembrance of how connected we are, how deeply connected we are with ourselves, with our, with our Earth collective. That brings in, very, conscious ways of living, conscious ways of purchasing, the desire to shift our infrastructures, the desire to shift, the collective agreements that we've been playing in as our species and a race for so long. And that's where the change happens within. If we want to have a collective that lives in harmony, that isn't, pillaging our planet for her resources when we have our own, and things like that, that can come, yes, through boots on the ground interaction, but also more of us will be in desire of those things when we're exhibiting and embodying our higher frequencies as well as our lower. It's all about integration. It's not about pushing one out for another. It's about that integration.
Right. And this is yet another paradox. The more, what does the outside have to do with at home on Earth, right? It's like, while we tap into this galactic awareness, we're unlocking codes like Marissa was sharing about these codes that we come in with being from these different races, and we all have these unique codes in order to bring down to Earth. And so it is really like by like exploring the cosmos, which is actually exploring a reflection of the internal world, which is needs to be said, is we're actually creating harmony, unity on Earth. And my answer to all these individuals that have actually confronted me about this question is that when they go like, why are you so focused on space? We have problems on Earth. I'm like, well, did you know Earth is in space? We're so like tunnel vision. We don't even realize that we're sitting on this ball, rotating around this fire, and we're in space. We're a part of the community already. We just forgot it. And do we want to like rejoin it and have a more harmonious experience? This is where these codes come into, right? So,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'd love to add to that too.
Yeah, go ahead.
I can. And just like add like a little personal story, because I think that's so important when we talk about star seeds and just, the macro and the micro. And I think it's so important to connect with the cosmic, to connect to the multidimension of itself, because it provides hope and it provides encouragement and it provides empowerment. I know for me, as being like hypersensitive throughout my life, I always felt like, I can't how am I going to make an impact on this world? Like I always felt that. And I felt helpless in feeling the gravity of being here on Earth and not knowing how to be of service. And through the Starseed awakening and through connecting to the cosmos, connecting to the origin story, connecting to these different lineages of soul, I began to feel empowered. I began to see the mission. I began to devote more of myself in service, and I allowed myself to feel those shifts. So working within the cosmic realm and having the Starseed awakening has developed me, has assisted me in moving from a helpless state to an empowered state where I see hope for our future. And I think that's a huge thing of working with the oversoul and working with higher consciousness, is just to remember why we're here. And I think we are so connected to our cosmic family. I think they are constantly communicating and constantly working with us and constantly on behind our backs, cheering us on. So it's such a beautiful way of just opening up to the mission, to the service, and why we're here.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Marissa.
Yeah.
Yeah, we only experience like this limited frequency of bandwidth. There's so much going on all around us. I feel the same way, like that there's like all types of beings doing all types of things around us all the time, like a whole entire angelic forest of our guides around us. And as we ascend, we start perceiving these realities. When you say?
Absolutely. I think the more you expand out of the I consciousness into the universal consciousness, you allow yourself to, a way I kind of like look at it is like almost a puppeteer. Like we are the puppet, we are the physical consciousness. And the more you expand, you start seeing the strands. Call that DNA, call that different aspects of the multidimensional self. And then you expand further, and then you see the, you know, the co-creation as a whole, as, you know, source, as the puppeteer,
Yes.
of the like of holding it all together. So the more you expand and the more you allow your consciousness to ascend or vibrate at a higher frequency to see the oversoul, the interconnectivity, the more you can connect to anything that your soul desires to connect to, really.
I really love that analogy. That's the analogy I use too, is that, and I basically say like, we are the puppets, but we're actually the puppeteer, and we just think we're the puppets. And then we transcend and realize we're the puppeteer, and we can do whatever we want with ourselves. All right. So here's another question for any of you so raise your hand physically, not on Zoom, guys, if you feel like you can answer this question. And if not, that's fine too. Are there wars in higher densities? Okay, Bridget. And then Joan.
I think what is so interesting about this is there are so many perspectives. And the way my soul team explains it is that it's where we're focused, right? Because everything is existing simultaneously. There is no past, present, and future. It's all happening simultaneously. From my perspective, when we're looking at galactic wars, we're looking at ancient history. This is my perspective. This is how I view the lens through which I'm viewing right now. My particular perception lenses, the collective of them, right? When I look out into our multidimensionality in this now moment, and this now moment, this now moment, that's for you, Joan. Then, I don't see wars going on. And when I do see skirmishes, it's not the same as what people are describing. Like, for instance, there are particular, races. I actually heard someone describe this in one of the clubhouse rooms, and I asked my team about it, and they showed me. I asked the Arcturians what they do when they run into someone that has hostile intent, that so to speak. And they showed literally what this person was describing. They showed that they immobilize them completely on their ship. They don't engage in any battle. They put them all to sleep, and then they leave. And I'm like, what? That is so amazing. And we're talking about, Arcturians who understand that they express in multiple dimensional expressions too, right? And other beings who are a bit more, I have the control thing, right? And they have a lot of that. So is there war going on currently? Well, depends on what part of the existence you're looking at, I think. And also we view what we have alignment with as well, right? So, and this can get really triggering for people. So you guys just breathe if this triggers you. I've been there as well. I'm still there in some areas. But what we're in alignment with, if we're holding a lot of trauma, if we're holding a lot of, slumbering aspects of consciousness and things like that, we're going to be in alignment with these archetypical expressions, but in a galactic way as well, right? So the things that we are in alignment with here on Earth, even if you're resisting something, that's still in alignment, right? So resistance and attraction, or resistance and attachment rather, are two sides of the same coin. So if you're resisting war, then you're holding alignment with the energy of war, right? If you are, freaking out on your friends and family verbally and emotionally and things like that, then you're adding to the energetic of war, right? So if you're doing this in your everyday life, it does not surprise me that you would envision war happening now. Now, that's not the only reason people envision that. They could also have experience in that, like current, expressions that are experiencing that war, experience in one way or another, a parallel aspect of soul, right? So say, there's a Lyran counterpart to them that is experiencing themselves in what I would consider ancient history, having that experience. That's why they would also see it. So there's lots of different reasons. And I don't think there's a wrong or right. I feel like it's just where you are within your expression and what you're receiving and envisioning and tapping into. I know that was a really long answer.
No, that was perfect. And, I have a follow-up to that, but go ahead, Joan. You want to chime in here?
Well, okay, so I just want to talk about this. We know that there's a war between dark and light, right? The dark side, the light side, that there is actually a kind of galactic war going on to help humanity, to assist humanity in freeing themselves from being trapped. So we kind of have evidence that even in these other dimensional frequencies, something else is going on. Now, and also, so for example, when you use those vision goggles, those night vision goggles, and look in the sky, my experience was I saw ships like going towards each other and blowing up. So and what frequency and dimension was that in? The 3rd or the 10th or the 15th? We don't know. So I'm going to say that there's different energies in the galaxy, in the universe. There's different angelic energies, different frequencies, and they're not all harmonious right now, or at least is how they're expressed here on the planet. Okay, that's how I see it. And our job is to continue to raise our vibratory frequency, because I think, winning this humanity of freedom is going to take miraculous divine intervention from the galaxies. So that's just my point of view here. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so now this question here, I'm going to try to do this in a way where I can combine around 5 questions in one. And then you guys can pick it. And then every time one person's done, I'll say that again, the bullets, just so you know what the question is here, the theme. So first, I'm going to share a reoccurring dream I used to have a lot of me being in a war on Maldek. And I was in this spacecraft, and basically I would go to sleep on Earth. Like right now, I'd go to bed. And then I would wake up, and there would be this thing that would come off my face with all this smoke, and these tubes come out of my arm. And then I'd look both ways, and for as far as eyes can see, all I saw was a bunch of stasis chambers opening, right? Just like a bunch of stasis chambers. Next thing is we all go to the ready room, or not the ready room, the war room, and we all get our weapons, and then we teleport down to Maldek, and then we engage in a huge battle. And then while I'm on Maldek, I see myself all of a sudden halfway into the battle. My soul shifts and goes into the opposing side's body, and then I realize that my oversoul has 2 experiences, and I'm fighting myself. Right. And this happens so many times. It's the most profound thing that ever happened to me from my dream state. So then I go through this war. I finally go back into my original body, and I'm like, whoa, I can't, kind of disoriented to the fact that I am fighting myself. Go back into the stasis chamber. The gas comes down, the wires go into my body. It was black and red liquid, black and red pill, and that I used to take because for the mind control. And then I wake up and I'd be alive on Earth. And then the next day I walk into my closet and I open my closet and I realize all my clothes are black and red. So I was just like, maybe that's like a manifestation of something. And the black and red thing is a whole other story that I've heard from other people that have had experiences similar to me. So anyways, this goes into the whole war thing. So is war, right? Here are the questions. Is this whole battle war not happening in those densities? Are they lower versions of it? Are they non-friendly ETs? Do they have a way to manipulate us? Is it just through astral realms? Or are they physically coming here? And then how did this tap into the whole understanding of the reptilians with us knowing that everything has a polarity, a positive and a negative? So does that make sense? You nod your head, guys, if you kind of feel where I'm going with this. Yeah? Okay, cool. So Flo, do you want to start out? And I'll just say it again. So are they non-friendly ETs? Are they affecting our reality? Does it even matter if they are, right? And is it happening astrally? And what is going on in these densities? And is war even the same as what we see it on Earth? Maybe it's some other type of experience.
So you've been asking some really deep questions today. So I just want to commend you, we're taking us all down the rabbit hole. I mean, this is a really deep question. And all I could take it back is to myself, ourselves. Is the only thing we can control in this reality is our energy field, is our energy body. And when we harmonize our system, I believe we can stabilize the entire field around us. So yes, there's war coexisting in many dimensional planes that are expressing themselves, but perhaps, I don't know what truth is on this one, but perhaps that this is, as your dream kind of had a metaphor for, perhaps this is an expression of what is transpiring within ourselves. And this healing journey, once again, begins within ourselves, making that peace within us and creating our reality. When I speak with the ETs, the star beings, the Lyrans, and they talk about this world around us, there's one consistent message. Just come back into your consciousness and realizing that your consciousness is creating this reality around us in some aspect. And this is the power that we need to have in this moment on planet Earth, where there's so much beyond our control, and we can lose our energy field in the storylines that are playing out through the media, through reality, pulling back into our field and realizing that we are co-creators of this reality with our energy body. So I know I'm not answering your question, but I'm just giving the guidance on what the star family communicates to me is whatever's playing outside of ourselves, come back into yourself and know you are a creator.
Thank you so much for that. Yeah. And because then would these wars kind of be just a reflection of our internal chaos, right? And that when we bring harmony to ourselves, we'll exist in a universe where there's harmony. We don't have that kind of experience, you know?
Yeah, it's interesting because I observe Mother Earth a lot, and observing her flows, observing her rotation, there is a lot of destruction. You know, like I live in Canada, I'm in Mexico at the moment, but normally live in Canada. And the forest fires, for example, when in a natural way, they actually elicit the seeds from the pine cones and they bring to life like the next generation of forests. So it's really hard to put a judgment on what is happening in this reality from the little perspective. And, you know, just studying Mother Earth, I remember walking down a field one day. I was really low, depressed, and not feeling well. And it started to rain. And it just became clear, you know, we need rain in order for the flowers to grow. So perhaps in this dimension that is fragmented, there's some push and pull that's transitioning us higher. But I do believe as we ascend to other dimensional states of consciousness, we unify more in our field, and the collective naturally recognizes that each individual is a reflection of themselves. And then we transition beyond this period we've had in human history where we've had war. So this is, I believe, where we are going as a collective, as a civilization. And, you know, I work a lot with the Lyrans, and I want to say this earlier, they always tell me to remember is to member. It's for us to reconnect with our members, and this is how we learn. So I'm excited for the future. I know we're still going to have our ups and downs, and we're still going to be in this dimensional reality where there's night and day storms that lead to flowers, but we are entering a new level of consciousness, and that's why we're here right now, to gather and shift the timeline of war and enter us into a unified consciousness where we begin to co-create as one star family.
Thank you, bro. Yeah, and thank you so much for the consistent shifts in my perspective, guys, that you've provided here. You know, really, you know, I know it, but it's a different thing to know and feel is that, you know, when we talk about this, it all comes down to what's going on internally and what this really means for us in our evolution. Because, you know, none of this stuff is happening externally. We're one frequency experiencing itself infinitely. And then also that ties into the whole understanding of the duality of war, good and evil, good and bad. Like, is that even a thing when it comes to the original intent of Source to experience itself infinitely? Because part of that experience isn't just one part of itself, right? It isn't just the love and light and unicorns. It's also the depth of that experience. So if the singularity split into duality, if the oneness split into infinite potential and possibilities, and part of that is also the darkness that we've experienced, does that oneness judge half of itself? Or does it love all of itself? Right, Marissa?
It loves. It loves. I think this is such a powerful conversation and so important because we live in such a dualistic, dense reality that it's almost like our earthly perception is, classifying light, dark, good, bad, war, peace in these paradoxical, polar ways. And just to weave in like where we began in this conversation of the rainbow prophecy is when we step collectively out of the black and white consciousness, the consciousness of duality, into the rainbow consciousness of infinite potentials, of infinite reflections and colors and expressions. That's where we find the unity. So when we allow our consciousness to see dark as equal as light, that's where I truly believe the rainbow appears. But we've been programmed to fear the dark because we live in a reality where we need light, where we need sunlight, where the consciousness, the life around us literally needs sunlight to live. But the most potent spaces I've been in, as just in my work and in my practice, have been in darkness, because it's the dissolving of the delusion of self, which the light invokes. And then so we need the dark to dissolve the ego. And we need the light to remember the soul, to remember the self. And when we weave those together, we find that unity, we find that rainbow, we find that transcendence. So I'll leave it there. And I just want to plant the seed of, having loving awareness, having unconditional love for every expression, for those times when we're dark, or for those times where we feel rage. And the most important thing is to not suppress any of those emotions, because we came to Earth to feel those emotions, to feel rage, to stand up for the good fight. So finding practices to allow all of those expressions, all of that rainbow aspect of being to be seen and expressed is so important. So we're not holding such a grip on fearing the dark or fearing death or transformation. We soften and allow it to happen naturally. And I think that's so important. And it could be triggering, and, the dark can invoke, the darkness casts a light on that which is really needing to be healed. Wow. Yeah. I just had a huge raven just land as I said that. So we embrace death. I mean, to be honest, like if a part of you isn't dying every day, try. Yeah. Try it out.
Bridget.
Yes. Marissa, I am so in love with what you just said. Oh, it's so important. Yeah. And I feel like I'm grateful that you said that after what I said a moment ago, because I didn't explain. And I'm so grateful. Like for me, there's a responsibility in our emotion, especially that which we consider dark, which I think darkness is beautiful. It's the place from which everything on the planet is born, or most everything. So I don't even like to call it that, but when I just want to touch on that, and then I'm going to go to Neil's question. But yeah, the way I see it is, we don't have to radiate our anger and our rage to other people. That's considered like psychic attack, right? So we can do it in responsible ways where we allow ourselves to feel completely and allow it to move through, because it'll balloon up like fire does when you add air to it. And then it'll slowly dissipate, a lot like when you're crying, a really deep cry about something. You have all of this emotion and it upwells and upwells and upwells, and then it begins to dissipate. And eventually there's no more tears. So we're allowing it to move through us. And I love that, Marissa, so much. Everything that you just said just makes my heart so happy. And Neil, Yes. Yes, there are beings that are playing a role in the control constructs with humanity. That's part of the human experience, right? So, like, part of, being here is that, at least in this moment, is that, that dualistic friction that we have, right? And part of what we're doing here as well is shifting that from within. We get to choose what we want going forward. In this moment of humanity's evolution and consciousness, we get to decide, what we want to inflate and what we want to deflate. What works for us, what uplifts us, what helps us expand and come together and be in unity, and what doesn't. And if we're looking at it from, kind of a macro to micro, from the macro level, this is all just expression. Everything we're doing is experience and expression. There's no right or wrong way to do it. But from the micro, like, it's pretty intense. Like, if you feel like you have lower vibrating entities, messing around in your life, that is intense. That's an intense feeling to have, right? But we also get to remember that we're sovereign in the midst of that, right? There's things that come within our own remembrance through those moments of contrast with the beings who are playing the roles of the bad guys, quote, quote, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but I will tell you, my team said, my team has this thing where they'll say something is no more. And that's my indication. They're telling me, get into your own energetics and, do some deep diving and make sure that you're not holding a strand of this energetic within the collective. And I'm like, okay. So a while ago, they said, it is time to let these beings out of their contracts with humanity. They've been doing this with you for a very long time, and it's time to let them go back to their other expressions. And I was like, especially being a spiritual warrior growing up, right? Like, I was like, out of here, until I wasn't, right? Until I realized, there's got to be a better way of doing this. If we're all source, even in, the quote, quote, lower vibrating expressions, there's purpose with their interaction with us, right? So I think it's just a matter of how empowered we're feeling. And if we're standing in our sovereignty, then those expressions of contrast, those expressions of, what we would call lower vibrating duality, they don't really affect us in the same way as they would when we're not empowered, when we're not standing in our sovereignty, when we're not understanding that we are all truly connected. And honestly, the more we expand our consciousness and raise our vibration and awaken the slumbering aspects of consciousness, those beings who are quite literally on Earth with us in their own version of physicality, but also the energetic, more those that hold less density, this place is going to become, inhospitable, essentially, because there's not going to be a resonance for their existence within ours, within the same space that we are. But that's what I wanted to say.
Thank you, Bridget.
You're welcome.
All right. Did you raise your hand, Flo? No? Yes. Okay. So we need to close out in a few minutes here. And so in about 15 minutes, we're starting the next panel, which is the Ascension panel, hosted by Deborah Giusti, who's in the room right now. So hello, Deborah. Really excited for that. And I want to let everybody know that we're doing 5 panels today. This is one of 5. We're going till 9 p.m. Pacific, which is midnight on the East Coast. So it's a full day. And in between, we're doing some fun tap dancing, a little bit of music. And we're going to talk about Egypt tour that we're doing. We're going to talk about the Portal Ascension Conference in Glastonbury, Portal Ascension Conference San Diego. We're going to be talking about a lot of cool things today. So I want to let you all know that to sign up for the panels, well, if you're on any platform that you're watching right now, you can stay on that platform. A couple of them, Laura Eisenhower's one, we're not going live after this on. So you can go to youtube.com/portal2ascension, youtube.com/portal2ascension to tune into the panels. You can go to portal2ascension.org and sign up under upcoming events for the 5-day, 55 speakers, 9 hours a day, nonstop awareness on cosmic consciousness. And so this is how I want to close it out. And I see Alan just joined. Alan, do you just join right now, or were you listening for a bit?
I was listening for it. I really liked the level of conversation. It went to another.
Oh, yeah. I feel so.
Yeah.
So we do need to close out now. But I want you to kind of chime in here as well with everyone. Was feeling like we've invoked a lot of energies during this. I'm really feeling a huge connection to the dragon energy, the Lyran energy, the Syrian energy, and the angelic realm, because Joan of Angels is always in the house. She's holding down the angelic frequency always. So I would like for you guys just to have a moment here to tap into, it doesn't have to be like only one person does Lyra and one person does Syrian, but tap into any of these frequencies that we're pulling in, these beings. And if you feel compelled to, specifically the Lyran frequency, the dragon frequency, the Syrian frequency, and of course, Joan of Angels will do the angelic frequency. Please provide us with, your closing awareness being tapped into this, kind of like an invocation / message. So we'll go and, I'll just be quiet for this whole process. We'll start with Bridget, go with Marissa, go with Flo, Joan, and then Alan, you can close it off. Let's do it. Bridget, it's all yours.
Okay. I'm asking who wants to step forward with, they're all stepping forward. It's so funny. I view us in unity. So this message, is really from Pleiadians, Syrians, Arcturians, Lyrans, Andromedans, and the Aurorans are stepping forward too. So this is everyone I'm activated with, but I also feel the Orions in here too. And really, honestly, the message is to tap into your heart, live in your heart space as often as possible throughout your day. Check in with your breathing, check in with your heart, anchor in your frequencies. A lot of us are prone to being outside of the body. They're encouraging us to really come in to the body through breath, through movement, and to embody our joy frequencies and to find those moments of play that are the respites within this human expression. They are so very important right now. And they're inviting us to really step into looking at each other as connected, to come into the expression with another, the interaction with another, and look at them as a reflection of you and you as a reflection of them. They're bringing through the visual of two people standing together, honoring heart to heart, mind to mind, open-hearted connection, listening, but also feeling each other and feeling that commonality between us. They're bringing in the message to do things that help us awaken the slumbering aspects of consciousness and to continue to expand and follow our breadcrumbs, follow that intuitional nudging that we have. And for those of us that are feeling like our intuition is not very loud, they're saying we can ask our high self and all of them to help make those intuitional nudgings louder and clearer, and that our focus can then be on listening to it and following it in perfect trust and perfect love. And that alone will open up all of those soul senses that we're often hearing people talk about. So these are the messages that are bringing through. They just want to say infinite love to each and every one of you, and to know that you are all deeply supported and guided in every single now moment. And all you have to do is reach out and feel the connection and accept the guidance and ask for as much support as you want or need. There is never too much. And that's where I'm just asking if they'll step back, because they'll continue going for like a really long time. So, and we love you. Thank you so much for letting us bring this through, and love you all so much.
Thank you for that beautiful transmission. I'd love to invite everyone to just drop into their body, dropping into this space, dropping into this now moment, taking a deep inhale through the heart space, feeling the chest expand, holding at the top, sipping in a little more air, a little bit more expansion. And slowly exhaling, I call upon my guides from Sirius from Venus, from the Most High, to assist me in a light language transmission to assist in the unfurling and the opening of the heart space so that we can all lead with love, so that we can all remember our power and use that power to create shifts upon this earth plane. Breathing into the heart, exhaling, release, and asking permission to your higher self to co-create in this transmission, in this light language, activation, heart expansion. Breathing into the heart. Seeing all the threads of past interactions, of any times where you found yourself caving in and not operating from in the heart space, allowing those quantum cords to be released so the heart can unfurl like the cosmic rose. Mama tikata kuto. Shwa, 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 shwa. Shwa, 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 suya, te kaya, toya, kaya, te atsio, toya. Yare, suya, ke, su. O sitiki, ya, yo, motea. Oya kia siti omore site kako ke omoe asite kwa ke omoe arite ki si kwa ke. Breathing in from the heart space. Feeling the wings behind your heart unfurl, feeling expansive, feeling in your power, feeling in the frequency of unconditional love. May your quantum cosmic heart continue to unfurl. And so it is.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanking Great Spirit for the sacred gathering of souls, and for us to come into the communion of all the beings present here, wherever you are on planet Earth, and for us to engage in this communion by feeling our heart space and sense that we are in one collective circle now, all in co-creation and alignment for the new race that is being birthed through your sacred vessel. We open to these codes from the great star in our solar system, Ra, and we ask for Ra to broadcast from the grand central sun, receiving these great light codes into our heart and entering us into a place of space and time dissolving. This is the stillness of our universe, the timelessness that we are all part of. And we give gratitude to be rewriting the story, and may each of your lives be blessed with love, harmony, peace, abundance, and whatever energy you need to fulfill your sacred earth mission on Pachamama. Grounding these codes through our body, into our feet, deep into the soils of Mother Earth, sending these unified codes to our collective planet and all the species beyond human that coexist here. Thank you for being in service as it incarnates, and thank you for coming down so we can all remember. Aho to all our relations. Namaste.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. And then we just have Joan and then Ellen. And just to let everybody know that the Ascension panel is going to start in a few minutes. So as soon as we close out, we're going to funnel right into that panel. So please, Joan.
Sweet, dearest ones, we are so involved in our grand initiation as we go through these portals and as we awaken to our grand divinity. Know that you are not alone. Know that not only are you not alone, but this is planned for, this has already been orchestrated in the universe, that as we become part of this new humanity and the ascension of the earth planes, we too will know our own divinity. So take a deep breath with us right now and really feel into your physicalness, feel into the presence of your body, feel those wings in your body, those scapula, which are your wings, and just spread your arms and just embrace the knowingness that we are more than we are, and we are one with the divine. And we will absorb this information, we will expand, we will ascend, for we are heading ever higher, and so it is. We thank you all for being with us today for the first Galactic Origins panel and moving into the Grand Ascension with Deborah.
But thank you, Joan. I just wanted to finish off by saying that we, the people of Earth, are unified on a higher level of consciousness, that this welcoming into the galactic community will be this moment of evolution of the human race for us Earthlings right here. We are awakening the fact that we have never been separate, always connected, and we're ready for the next level of our evolution as we ascend in vibration. And that's why I give this over to Deborah Giusti, as she brings in the ascension frequency for this time into our planetary consciousness. So thank you all. Blessings, and just feel how we're moving. If you're present enough, you can feel how we're moving in the vibrational field into something new and unknown. So peace.
Thank you, brother. And Deborah, before we hand it over to you, we're going to stop the stream and then do another one. So I just want to remind everyone tuning in on all the other platforms, youtube.com/portal to ascension for this panel that's about to start, and the other 4 panels today, portaltoascension.org, upcoming events for the Star Beings event. So yeah, tune in. We're going to go ahead and close this one out. Thank you to all the panelists for joining in. This was awesome, huh? I had a lot of fun with this. So thank you so much, guys. Love you guys so much. Okay, closing the stream.